Hello everyone, it's Helena Bird, and today I'm going to show you a piece of abstract art I made inspired by these beautiful birds. Some flamingos that live in a nature reserve about 6 miles from my house. I had some lovely time observing them last weekend, and now I want to make some art inspired by them. Drawing shapes and palettes from my life and using them in my art has become a very important part of my practice. The next video I post after this one will explain in detail just how important shapes and palette have become to my art practice. But for now, let's settle in and enjoy making a grid journal inspired by the oranges, pinks, blacks and whites present on these beautiful birds. I hope you find the process inspiring. So one of the things that I love most about grid journaling is that it takes very little prep. All I need to do is section off a piece of paper with some tape. In this case, I chose some very thin washi tape, and get my paint together or whatever materials I'm using to draw in the grid, and off I go. So for those of you who are new to grid journaling or perhaps haven't tried it yet, it is one of those crafts that you can quickly do without having to gather a million different materials to do it. And I do like that about it. The other thing that I like about it is the fact that the grid spaces unto themselves are not intimidating. They're small spaces to fill, and it's much less intimidating than trying to fill the blank page if it was just one big white sheet. I've laid out on my palette, which I'll talk about in a moment, some pinks, some oranges, a white and a black. You may have noticed in that video footage that some of the feathers in the flamingo were actually more orange than pink. So I wanted to reflect this in my art and weave that through the piece. When I say I'm putting paint on my palette, you might notice it is not a very fancy palette. It is in fact an old magazine cover, a very sturdy magazine cover. And I find that any kind of magazine cover, as long as it's glossy and quite sturdy, makes for an excellent makeshift palette. I don't even clean it because I know ultimately I'm going to cut this magazine cover up and make ephemera with it for my junk journal. So I get to play on a palette that I never have to clean. That's music to my ears because I'm extremely lazy when it comes to cleaning my equipment. And then I also get to make ephemera out of it when I feel it's been painted up enough. So while I'm creating a composition on the grid journaling, I'm also creating a sort of composition on my palette. I'm paying a little bit of attention to how I'm swirling the paint around on that. And session after session, I see it build up, and eventually I will cut it up once I'm satisfied with the paint that's on there. I ummed and ahed about what shape to use with these pinks and oranges. Should I go for feathers, I wondered? Should I concentrate on the beak, which is a really peculiar and interesting shape? What about the long legs that flamingos have? I had quite a few options when it came to shapes. Ultimately, I decided that I wanted to follow the curvature of their long necks and how it kind of curves into their heads. And although I wouldn't copy that exactly, I would take inspiration from that beautiful natural curve in their bodies while putting down different shades of pink and orange. In terms of how I'm blending all this, I started out with the purest form of the colour, be it a pink or an orange, and then I would blend it with some white, and then I would blend it with some black. And I've also tried blending together the pink and the orange, and then blending that with white and black. This afforded me lots of different colour combinations whilst keeping to a very simple palette. I loved all the different tones, and I have to say when they sit together at the end, I think it's one of the most beautiful pieces of blended colour art that I've ever made. The title of this video is Next Level Grid Journaling. And I'm going to show you the biggest thing that I think can take your grid journaling to the next level at the very end of the video. But I'm also going to offer a couple of things that I've learned in the time I've been doing it as we go. The first thing is about what you put in each square and being a little bit conscious of that. Now, ultimately, this is going to be a grid piece, so it's going to sit together. But I have developed an awareness as I've been doing this of also the individual squares and how they look on their own. Only so far as I don't want them all to look identical. They may have the same colours in them, they may even have some of the same shapes in them, but I want to make sure I mix up and vary how those colours and shapes are presented in each square. That might mean I have slightly more of one thing in one square than I do in another, or it might mean changing the direction of a shape, or it might mean changing up the sequence of a colour. It might mean switching to a different shade halfway through a line. If you're just starting out, then you'll be more concerned with simply the whole piece and how it looks. But I think as your skill in this area develops, you learn to be more conscious of the individual squares and how they might look as little individual pieces all unto themselves. So that is tip 1. Yes, think about the whole, but also think about each individual square, each part of the grid, and how it might look if people only saw that and nothing else. Once I'd gone around the paper with the swirly shape, I then started to fill in the negative space with different blends of the pinks and orange. Even though I was paying some attention to the composition, this was a very relaxing activity. Acrylics are my favourite medium, and if you followed the channel for a while, you've probably heard about the fact that I do struggle with watercolour, but acrylics, I really feel like I come alive with my acrylics. So this was very relaxing to me. I was working with a medium that I was very comfortable with. It was coming out with all these beautiful shades, and I felt it was really reflecting the experience I'd had with the flamingos when I was observing them at the weekend. I have mentioned this before when it comes to creating things for your journal or creating pieces of art. I do think that whilst you are doing it, the best thing you can think about is how it's reflecting your experience rather than trying to get each mark perfect on the page. I think that the piece of work is more likely to reflect the spirit of your experience and even have its own soul, if you like, if you do that. When we're painting, often we are trying to avoid getting mud, getting brown mud. In this particular combination of colours, I did mix a brown because orange and brown are related colours. I just allowed that to happen. It was okay that there was a little bit of brown in there because I was taking orange as far to its extreme as I could. That was part of the experimentation of this piece. How far could I take pink? How far could I take orange? When do they become a different colour altogether? How much white do you have to add? How much black? And what kind of colour do you get if you mix orange and pink together? It is wonderful to simply be able to explore colour this way, whilst using it as a way to remember a very special event in your life. Back to the next level grid journaling tips. I do think that if you're just starting out particularly, it can be useful to draw palette and shape inspiration from your life as I'm doing here. Trusting the things you have seen to inspire you, and then just seeing where that takes you can lead to some very interesting places in your artwork. There were no brown feathers on the flamingo, but there were orange. In order to explore orange, I ended up at brown. And I learned something about colour and how it sits together on the page just by taking a single experience as a springboard. What experiences in your life could you use as a springboard for palette and for shape? Could you make a grid journal based simply on 2 or 3 colours that are dominant in your life, or perhaps that play out in a dominant scene in your life? Something to think about. Gosh, look at those colours. Look at those colours. My heart was so full when I looked at this page, and all of the beautiful colour contrasts and colour blends that were happening just by exploring 2 colours from a single bird that had inspired me at the weekend. I quite like the look of a black frame around my individual pieces of the grid. This is optional. It is not something that is compulsory. In fact, none of this is compulsory. All of this is creative choice. But I do think for me, it just gives it a little frame, and that is something that I really like. It sort of makes it more its own piece of art. And although it is sitting as part of a series, I think it does give it its own individual space on the page. In order to create some contrast between the different colours that I blended, I went in with my black crayon. It's a Caran d'Ache crayon, and it's one of the non-water soluble ones. I love the grainy texture I get with these crayons. And drawing in crayon is one of those activities that really brings out the child in me, the curious child, who wants to learn about these colours and shapes, who just wants to experiment and play and see what happens, and is not worried about perfectionism. The other part that I love about grid journaling is taking the tape off and seeing how they sit in that moment as little individual pieces. I was pretty happy with these, but there was still some mark making yet to do. I'd captured the basic colour of the flamingo, but there were still some elements that I wanted to throw in there. I also wanted to create some more contrast with my white crayon, because the birds had a blend of black and white in their beaks, and I wanted to reflect that somewhere in the grid. I also managed to do that with some mark making. What marks do you add then when you're focusing on pink and orange and you're trying to reflect the experience that you have? In my case, I went back to other parts of the bird. I looked up some close-up images of flamingos and found out that they had yellow eyes with black pupils. So I started to crayon in some yellow ovals and then add a black dot at the centre. Now, unless I title this piece Flamingo, which is what I will actually do, people might not know what on earth they're looking at when they look at these abstracts. They don't have to. The viewer can bring whatever they want to my art. I know what my intention was, but they might look at it in a completely different way and see something completely different in it. That's the beauty of abstract art, or certainly one of the beauties. Taking inspiration from the bird, though, from the original inspiration, gives me ideas about what kind of marks to make, how to arrange my shapes, and where to put them. Additionally, I added some white and black markings that reflected the colours of the beak. And now to move on to the last tip for taking your grid journaling to the next level. A lot of people will simply let their grid sit in the original piece of paper that they made it in, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But for me, the original shapes look a bit too uniform. They sort of flow onto each other a little bit too easily. I'm looking to disrupt that original pattern. So I cut my squares out and I rearranged them in a new formation. I want to be able to play with the orientation of these pieces without being bound by the original piece of paper that I made them on. So here you can see how I've disrupted the original pattern that I drew. And I think that by mixing that up, it does make for a more dynamic piece. It looks a lot more varied in terms of composition. And this has been achieved simply by cutting out the grid pieces and arranging them on the orientation that I think looks best when they all sit together. I had some final marks there. I think that cutting out the grid squares is something people don't often think to do. We tend to think, I've made this painting and it has to stay in one piece. I try to lift limits like that when I'm creating either a grid piece or even a full page abstract. It is totally acceptable for me to simply single out one piece that I want to cut out and use that for the basis of a whole new painting. It is also acceptable for me to cut up a grid piece and change up the direction, the orientation, the order in which those grids appear. I hope that's given you something to think about next time you do a grid piece. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Do you have any other tips for grid journaling that could take it to the next level? I would love to hear them. I'm always trying to experiment. I'll be back with another video soon. Until then, take care, and I'll see you next time.